So also on the life thing, so how do you juggle the dad thing? Like you have a wife and 3 kids, and then you also run like 5 companies and invested in 1 billion, and you create content and
Yeah.
videos and have time to do all this kind of stuff. How do you juggle all that?
Well, I think it's like if you say that in a paragraph, it sounds like a lot of stuff, right? But it didn't come that way, right?
It does sound like a lot of stuff.
I mean, it is a lot of stuff. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, how the heck did I get stuff done, right? So first of all, it stacks up over time, right? So like I was a single guy doing work, and I was married, and then I figured that out, and then we had a long time before kids, and I built a bunch of businesses and failed a bunch of times and a lot of things, and I got one, and then we had kids, and I was like, okay, now my only thing is I know how to live my life, I know how to be married, I know how to run a business, I know a lot of things not to do from failure, I know how to run. I was one business at one point, and then I was two, and then I had a kid. I'm like, oh, how do I run a business with one kid? How do I manage this? And I had to give up stuff. Like we had to hire more people because I couldn't do the things I was doing beforehand, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean, so I guess what I'm saying is delegation, but it's really not delegation. It's adapting to the circumstance, right? So now, which was the punch in the face and the kick to the growing, which was we had twins. And so we went from 1 to 3. I'm like, oh crap, this is really hard. Now I really don't have time. So I have enough money, but I have way less time than I have money. And it's not to say I have a lot of money, it's just I have literally no time, to the point where I have to plan my poops, right? When you have to plan your poop, that means you don't have enough time in life, right? And so really it became all about hiring people. And it became all about really thinking about, again, going back to how I'm able to run multiple businesses, is picking the right things, right? So like, measuring twice, doing once. So for example, I will come up with 15 variations of a marketing plan before I execute one of them, because I will work out some of the numbers. I will do the research on like, okay, I'm going to go invest in XYZ advertising platforms, right? YouTube, LinkedIn, Google ads, whatever, Facebook ads. I'll go look at the CPCs, look at the competitors, try to understand the click-through rates, and do the math of how much it's going to cost me to acquire a customer. If most of them will not work out at that mathematical point, on a spreadsheet, therefore I stop doing it. It's the same thing for having kids in life, and with that you have to be a little bit more like choose where you want to be present and where you want to be not absent, but like what you want. So my wife and I decided we're going to be active parents, and we try to do crazy shit to try to teach them how to be entrepreneurs too. And their oldest one is 2, so like we have a long ways to go, but we try to spend time with them and teach them good values and all those things. And so, but we have to choose like, okay, who's going to do morning duty? Is that morning duty? That means I can go to the gym or whatever. So I would say trying to be healthy and exercise daily, eat healthy, run a business and have a family, that all is really hard. And it really takes deliberate effort and conscious, there's no watching TV and hanging out in my life lately.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Bad thing. Because what it really comes down to is there's not really downtime. There's only doing stuff, and then there is downtime. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a machine. But it's an hour. And 3 years ago, it was 4 hours, 5 hours. So my time has just kind of gotten a lot smaller, which has forced me to think about what do I want to do in that hour. Right? So I used to watch a lot of TV, and I still read books because I'm an early riser and I just kind of read a book or read a couple blog posts or watch a video or whatever. But now I'm no, I've got 30 minutes. What newsletter, what blog post, what are the things what am I going to tee up to read that day? So now I use Pocket, I started using Kindle more and Audible, and I'm all right, here's the books I'm going to read for the next 6 months. That's it. That new stuff can come in, it might change the order, but I'm very deliberate, I'm going to learn these things this year. So it requires a lot of planning and conscious effort.
Dang. Wow. 3 kids. Wow.
Yeah, it's hard.
I remember a few years ago, you had some sort of happy hour at some whatever place downtown, and I remember you saying that you were planning on hiring yourself out.
Yeah,
and it sounds like you did that.
Yeah, and so now I'm at Mailshake. We just hired a VP of marketing. Now she's been there maybe 6 weeks. complete trust her already, so that's good. I'll be out of marketing day to day in like another month. But the role I'm in now is I'm going into is product. I'm kind of serving as a VP of product, and I'm giving myself 6 months to get the heck out of that role too. So hiring people that are smarter, better, more specialized is really what we do. As a founder, as like an entrepreneur, we're kind of good. I would say everyone's pretty good at kind of figuring shit out, right? I think a human being can go from zero to learning something with just Google. Like I remember when I was 18, 19 in college, this was in 2000, 2001. The internet, fairly new-ish, and I just Googled how to surf. Literally, I just Googled how to surf, and then I went and bought a surfboard, and I went on the water, and I learned to surf, I don't know, like in 3 sessions by myself. I could figure shit out, but I will never be a pro surfer. That requires a lot of training. So I go into roles that like nobody wants to do or can't do, or maybe have a little bit of experience doing, or I can figure out by talking to 5 smart people, reading a book or 2.